Welcome everybody to Polar Park here in Massachusetts. We are wrapping up. Let's hear it. It is the final DGPT playoff event of the season before we head into the majors and the Tour Championship. It's the MVP Open here at Maple Hill, but we're not at Maple Hill. We're at Polar Park. I got the man himself, Steve Dodge, here. Steve, you're the mastermind behind all of this. Just talk to us. How are you feeling right now?
I feel really good. My goal right now is to run out the clock and answer no questions.
Okay.
So I'm going to say the name of the event that we're at right now.
Great.
We are at the East Coast Metal Roofing Disc Golf Day at Polar Park, an MVP Open by OTB kickoff party. Thank you all for being here. I'm sorry, no more time for questions.
Oh, we have quite a bit of time. I got a lot to ask you. Steve, first off, you are so good at integrating your love for disc golf, your love for this tournament at Maple Hill with the community around you. Talk about this relationship here at Polar Park.
So the people at Polar Park went above and beyond to make this thing happen. First of all, we thought it was going to rain all day, and so they very quickly moved a couple of things undercover. Very great to work with. I'm super excited. The town of Worcester is looking at us as somebody that they want to support because we're here, because all these people are here. I hear chains going off all behind me. It's a magical place to be. I'm really excited to integrate the city of Worcester into what we're building at Maple Hill.
Well, let us in on that a little bit. So after the wrapping up of last year's tournament, what was the dreaming like for the next year? What were you guys starting on?
Well, I've actually dreamed of this for 3 or 4 years. We've tried to make Polar Park or DCU Center work, but it's very complicated because there's a baseball schedule going on.
Ah, yes.
And we have to work around that, and so it's never actually worked. And this year, thanks to the Woo Sox not winning the first half of the season, we were able to make this happen. So it really does come down to little things like that, and then you're like, okay, we're a go, and then my team jumps in and we made it happen. We all got here at 9 a.m. and a bunch of busy ants running around setting all this up. It was magical.
Well, take it to Maple Hill, take it to this tournament.
And constructive.
Yes. What was the dreaming like there? What did you need to change from last year's tournament? What do you feel like needed to be adjusted?
If we changed nothing, I feel like we would have still been the single best venue. We would have still had the greatest staff. We still would have been the greatest event ever. So I was very comfortable with where we were. Having said that, Gage, the team, we looked at the course and we said, let's make hole 10 more player friendly so we can get more birdies and introduce more bogeys to that hole. We wanted more variance. We wanted to take away the idea of just one flat out just bomber shot. Hole 17, we wanted to get some teeth on the course. If you're up by 2 or 3 with 2 to go at Maple Hill, traditionally you could coast in, and we wanted to take that away from you. And now if you're up by 2 or 3, you still got to perform in the last couple of holes. You can't just go par and assume you're going to make it, because just that tee shot on 17 alone can get you in a lot of trouble. On the women's side, there were a couple of tees that weren't very good, and we needed to give the women's side some serious love, specifically the tees on holes 8 and 9. 9 now plays a lot more like the men's hole 9, where they play to that drop zone and then they have a beautiful shot down to the basket.
I wanted to ask you a question. A younger person, a newer disc golfer, came up to me and said, do people hang out at Maple Hill? Do people party here like they quote-unquote used to? And I didn't really know how to answer the question. I said probably not as much, but can you just talk about the history and the community surrounding Maple Hill and how that's evolved with the evolution of disc golf?
That is a very fun question. I believe it would be literally impossible to party as much as we used to. The MSDGC was designed as a party with a disc golf tournament attached. And having said that, it was a very high competition tournament, but fun was the center. And now we are a high competition tournament as the center, and we do everything we can to make sure we have a lot of fun. It's interesting. This is a timely year for that. Hopefully, you asked that last year and you didn't give it to me, because that would have been uncomfortable. This year, we've actually gone out of our way to make to be more inviting to the players and get them back on site. And that's really important to me because we're a family here. And when you're at Maple Hill, I want everybody to feel like family. So last night we were going back and forth getting all the Signacades for this event and getting all the little parts at the garage. And it was really fun walking through the RV park and seeing 20 or 30 pros just hanging out in their RVs on Maple Hill again. And that means a lot to me. They don't party as much as they used to, but I think we have just as much fun, and the competition is so much higher.
You're continuing to make changes to this course. You're making holes longer, you're making the gaps tighter. How far can it go? How far can Maple Hill scale with the talent of these players as the years go by?
I will tell you in 20 years. We're going to keep going.
What are you most excited about, not just this year, but a project maybe you have in the future planning right now?
I'm very excited for working with Worcester County and Discover Central Mass and making MVP Open by OTB week much, much bigger. I want Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to all be part of what we're doing, and it's just a disc golf week where we celebrate nonstop. That's the thing that I'm most excited about, because the city of Worcester is excited that we're here. I think Polar Park is excited that we're here. I think they're amazed at how kind disc golfers are. The staff here has told me already that they love that everybody says thank you. They're paid to be here, and we are so happy they are here. The lady downstairs, as soon as someone comes in, she presses the elevator button, and it's just like, that's amazing. Like, thank you for doing that. People are just really nice here, and I'm excited to see what this can turn into so that MVP Open becomes even bigger, because we're introducing new people to the sport through this.
Steve, thank you so much for your time. Here's Matt Graham.
Hey, Steve, Matt Graham, Staggered Stance. It's been a little while.
Hello there, Matt.
So my question to you is, this is the 10th season of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Can you just reflect for just a minute of the things you think about? It was pre-UDisc back in the day. We had those conversations. Do we know anything about scorekeeping? All of that stuff. A lot has come to be in 10 seasons.
Yes.
What do you think about the Pro Tour now? Just reflect on it.
So the first 4 years of the Pro Tour were really bumpy. I don't know quite why, but no, it was never quite perfectly organized, and that's obviously my fault. But I was making a joke. I was talking to somebody earlier, and they said, how did this come about? And I said, well, we just called it the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And the first event, we literally just said that's what we were. 10 years later, that's what we are. And I don't know quite when that transition happened. I know it was after 2019, but that transition was I think the most important thing for the Pro Tour, where people come to a Pro Tour event and they accept it as a Pro Tour event. Think about the very first NFL game. They just called themselves the NFL. It doesn't, what does that mean? But over time, we all understand what they're trying to do. And people have bought into what it is we're trying to do. We're trying to give the players a stage.
We enjoy it very much, Steve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Matt.
We'll be right back. Joining us now, the reigning champion of this tournament, and it happened in dramatic fashion. James Proctor, you're back here in Massachusetts. We're here in Polar Park. Just take us back to the moment. Take us back to winning that tournament a year ago.
It's it's something I think about pretty frequently, and coming up this year and seeing that plaque on the drop zone, and actually walking up, stepping up the first practice round and making it again. It's really special. It's something that I will look back on forever, and obviously I would have loved to have made the island the first try and not had it be that dramatic, but I'm very grateful for how it went down.
Talk about this season as a whole. Last year you got 2 Elite Series wins, you got one in Europe, you got one in the United States. This year you've had to deal with some injury.
Yeah.
The game moves fast. Touring disc golf is tough out there. Just talk about what it's like being a touring pro, having to deal with something that serious.
It really does. 2025, it feels like the blink of an eye. I was feeling great coming into this season, and on the 17th hole of round 1 at the very first event, I had to drop out, and I'm still kind of dealing with this injury. So I took a couple months off. I played some, had to take another month or 2 off, and the tournaments don't stop. They just keep going, and I've tried to kind of battle my way back here, and but it's been a blur. It's been a constant struggle, and it's crazy. We're already looking at 2026.
How has this injury, elbow, correct? UCL?
Yes.
How has this adjusted the way you see yourself out here as a disc golfer?
I mean, it's been a lot of reflection. Some weeks I'm motivated and I'm battling through it, and other weeks, I kind of just want to give up and call it a career. And so, it's been a constant kind of mind battle, and but I think I'm at the point now where I'm back enjoying the game. I've had enough time off, and I've had to miss enough events to where when I do get to play and I'm feeling good, I'm excited for it. I'm very excited coming into this week.
You mentioned that you're not throwing a lot of sidearm. You're almost all backhand now. How has that changed the way you make decisions out there?
I mean, there's not really any decisions to be made. I don't have the choice between the two. It's just, all right, step up. It might be a sidearm shot. I just have to manufacture a backhand. And, it's been honestly kind of fun throwing some trickier lines. It kind of took a lot of the decision making out of it. And so I'm just, having to make it work.
Reflect back on the first time you came to Maple Hill. There's always stories disc golfers hear about coming to this place. It almost feels like the disc golf mecca. What did you first hear, and then when did you first come here?
Gosh, I first came here, I believe it was 2016, which feels like forever ago now. And, at that time, I had been on the pro scene for a while, but not touring. And so, just getting to experience a course of this magnitude and this, prestige, all the signature holes out here. I remember, I was here with my mom, and it seemed like every hole I got to, I was taking photos and sending them back to my dad, and, just kind of how it takes your breath away playing a course, like this. I don't think I played that great. I think, my game at that time wasn't at the level it needed to be, but it's been a long time, and it's cool to kind of see the course change and progress, as the seasons go on.
What are some holes that have changed over the years that maybe you like the changes, you're welcoming the changes, and what are some holes that you kind of miss from previous iterations?
Right off the top, like hole 1, I like the change. I play it different now. I don't even try to go through that Mando. I just play it for par. I think some of the changes play well. The longer tee on hole 8, I think plays as a better hole. Hole 18, pushing that out of bounds in so you can't lay up as far makes it more interesting. Like Steve mentioned, 17 is going to play a lot different this year. So, I think a lot of the changes are intended to make the course more challenging and more difficult, but that also, can make for more enjoyable shots as well.
Just a random question, side tangent here. I asked this question to Ezra and Ricky during their presser last week. Circle 2 percentages for MPO division for the best players are 30s. We've maybe seen 1 or 2 players crack 40% for a season. But when it comes to shallow circle 2, like just outside the circle, what percentages do you feel like the best putters are at from that range?
It's always funny to me when somebody's right on the edge and they say, if I don't mark it, can I jump it? Like you'd rather be further away. when players are hot, I think that's kind of a streaky distance. When players are hot, they're making 4 or 5 of those in a row.
Yeah.
But then again, some are obstructed, some, it kind of varies. But I think, definitely like 50, 60, maybe even close to 70% from, a meter or 2 outside the circle.
Well, James, thank you so much for your time. Here's Matt Graham again.
Thank you.
Hey, James. So in previous versions of Maple Hill, I've heard and interviewed players who said, if you can throw straight, you can shoot well at Maple Hill. Do you feel like that's still true? And what do you think it takes to win again? You've obviously won. What would it take? What types of shot? What type of skill?
Yeah, throwing straight is huge. Coming down the stretch, you have 15 and 16. Those are the straightest shots in the game. And so, and now 17 as well with this new tee shot. So, I think Maple is a course where, like any tournament, you're not going to win day 1, 2, or 3. I think you have to put yourself in contention day 4. We've had a lot of chase card winners at Maple, and so I think that just goes to show you, put yourself in contention, and then, it really just comes down to that back 9 on Sunday. And if you can throw it straight then, your odds are good.
All right, so throw it straight. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. Welcoming in Missy Ganon, defending champion. Missy, I stood with you on the green of 18 last year. After a pretty intense run that you had to make, just reflect on that victory and just being out here at Maple Hill again.
I mean, yeah, it's incredible memories. I could have never expected it to end the way that it did, but making that putt on 17 was just such a cool feeling. I don't think I've ever felt that hype about a big putt coming down the stretch. And I feel like that's a feeling I can really hold on to, and I feel like I can relive it almost, even playing the practice round today and sort of standing in that spot and looking at that putt. Now it's not elevated, but it still was just a really cool rush of nice memories when I saw it today.
Well, I hate to jump back to last week, but I just want to ask, last week with everything that went down, you gave such a gracious interview afterwards. Now that the dust has settled and you had to drive the 3 hours down here in Maple Hill, were there any reflections on what happened last week at GMC?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was heartbreaking, obviously, for me, and I didn't really get to enjoy the joy that I had for Paige for winning because of the feelings that I was feeling. But now that I've been able to kind of reflect on the whole weekend, I can finally feel like I'm so happy for her, and it created such a cool storyline with her and Paul. And just even besides all that, I'm just so fortunate to be able to compete with her still to this day, and everybody wants a battle, and so even if it was at the expense of me maybe not putting my best foot forward, my best performance together, I think it was still an amazing experience for all the people that were there. So yeah, I'm kind of over the sadness, and I'm ready to move on and be here at MVP and try to take it down again.
Well, you're sitting here in a baseball stadium with lights on you doing a disc golf press conference. I asked you a similar question back at Worlds about what it feels like as a disc golfer to be out in the public. What does it feel like to be on a stage like this at Maple Hill?
I mean, this is cool. I had no idea. I walked up here and I was like, whoa, I can't. I was about to walk through and I was like, wait a minute, maybe I should hang out over here. No, this is amazing. This is so cool to be in front of like a live audience and be looking at all the activities out on the field here, and I mean, this makes it feel so much bigger than I think we all realize that disc golf is to all of us, and hopefully, soon to the world. And so, yeah, it just makes it feel that much more special to be here in the playoffs, back at Maple Hill, in Worcester. It's just, it's really, really cool.
Well, I want to kind of go on about that. You've been everywhere this year. You did the full stretch out there in Europe, maybe minus one or two tournaments, but then you went to China, experienced China disc golf, met all these disc golfers out there for the first time. How has this season and the international travel changed your perspective about your job as a professional disc golfer?
Yeah, I think especially the World Games was a big eye-opener because there are so many more people that are excited about disc golf than I think I really understood. We kind of get in our little bubble here in the U.S. and then also over in Finland and in those European countries where disc golf is really, really special to everybody there. But to go out to China and see so many other teams from Japan, from China, from Latvia, from all of those other countries that I hadn't been able to experience, players from those countries, and be able to have such an incredible memory and experience overall at the World Games. I think it really reminded me of how much of an impact we've been making as a sport all together, right? It's not one person. There are so many people that are involved in making this sport the best that it can be and trying to push it to be bigger and bigger every year. And again, the World Games was just a big eye-opener to be like, you know what, actually, we could be in the Olympics one day. And this is a huge step forward into getting our foot in the door there. And so, yeah, that's a memory and an experience that I will never forget and I will cherish forever. And I know probably won't come back around to me. Maybe it will. I hope that it would. But I'm just so fortunate to have been able to be there.
I just want to ask you one general question. I've been asking a lot of players recently. Disc golf is so funny. It feels like two opposites kind of combined. We have this creative, artistic thing in the frisbee, so to speak, and then golf, this scoring, rigid, competition-based game. Your friend Paige, who just won at GMC, self-proclaimed frisbee head. When it comes to those two sides of the sport, what do you resonate with more, the golf or the disc? Honestly,
probably the golf. I really like the strategy of it, and I think if you were to ask anybody who knows me well, I'm not one of those people that's walking around the factory feeling all the plastic and being able to analyze what the wing looks like and all of that. That just had never been something that I was kind of into, I guess. It's just more of if it flies good and feels good, we're good. So it's more about like, breaking down the courses, breaking down the holes, trying to get the best score possible for me, and playing that game of golf, I think is my favorite part of being a part of the sport.
Well, let's talk about the golf out there at Maple Hill. What is the hardest puzzle to solve in the new, like, current iteration of that course? What hole?
I think putting your ego aside and realizing what you can and can't do and what's going to yield you the best possible score over 4 rounds, and being able to not always feel like you have to push for the birdie, because if you feel like that and then you're scrambling for par, you're going to feel the connotation of the, like, it's like puts a negative spin on your mindset, I think. But being able to go onto the course and be like, hey, I'm playing hole 1, in the A position for par, or hey, I'm going to attack this hole and be able to, again, figure out what is repeatable day after day, because a 4-day event is a marathon. It's not a sprint, so you really have to give yourself the best opportunity to score well consistently.
What's your favorite hole at Maple Hill right now?
My favorite hole? I mean, maybe it's a little cliche to say hole 8, but you can't really beat the vibes on hole 8. So that's just it's so fun to get to that hole. You're kind of almost halfway through the round, and you get that little jolt of energy just heading down to that tee and trying to make fireworks for the crowd. And I think that would have to take the cake.
Well, Missy, thank you so much for your time. Here's Matt Graham.
Thank you.
Hey, Missy.
Hi.
So I've interviewed you a fair amount of times, and last year we interviewed you coming into the end of the season, and you said you deserve to be in the conversation for Disc Golf Player of the Year, whether it's the Pro Tour or PDGA. You deserve the conversation. How do you feel about this year, and what is it going to take to be in that conversation to get that award again?
Yeah, well, I think that it would have really helped my chances if I had won last weekend, but we still have 3 events left, in the regular Pro Tour season, and I think that if I can snag another couple of maybe 1 or 2 of the last 3, I think that certainly warrants me to be in that conversation. I haven't really looked at like what it means to get PDGA Player of the Year. I know it's like a lot of points based and whatever, but I don't really want to think about that. Honestly, I try not to think about that. It's just I want to take every weekend, one at a time, and whatever ends up happening it was meant to be, and we're just going to try to shoot our best out there.
Absolutely. And so last year it seemed like you started stacking up the accolades towards the end of the season, similar in some ways this year. Mm-hmm. What is that? Why does it seem to be that way?
I would say that I kind of feel like a jolt of energy, positive energy coming back to the Northeast. I grew up in New York, and I think coming back, seeing family, being in familiar territory, just sort of makes me feel like, I don't want to be done yet. I don't want to be done with the season quite yet. And where a lot of people might be feeling like, hey, I'm ready. I need to take a rest. I don't feel that. I feel like I'm so excited to finish out the year. And yeah, it's just there's such great courses and great places to be at the end of this tour stretch, and so I'm just trying to relish that and take it all in and just try to do my best and finish strong. And I think so far so good, but we'll see what happens.
Good luck this week. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Paul McBeth joins me now. Paul, you've been coming to Maple Hill over a decade now. Talk about the first time you came to Maple Hill and maybe describe the landscape of disc golf and where you fit into it back then.
Yeah, man, I don't remember the exact first time I came here, but I do remember there was festivities going on until it seemed like the next day's tea time. Steve always had something going on. I remember you'd throw frisbees and that were glowing through these squares that he had made up and stuff, and there was like all these team events, putting events, all sorts of stuff. And I remember people were always playing or putting on the course until honestly midnight every night. So it was a cool atmosphere, which it's a little different now, and I think that's just kind of the setting. But yeah, it was something that was almost like a festival every year.
Via Statmando, it says your first Maple Hill Open was back in 2011. What was disc golf looking like for you back in 2011, the year before your first World Championship? What kind of player were you? What were you dreaming about back then?
Yeah, 2011 was the first year I really dedicated everything I had to disc golf. 2010, I was still playing baseball, and I think I only played maybe 10 events that year, and they were after the baseball season. And then 2011 was the first year I dedicated everything. First time, I think, coming to the East Coast for an extended amount of time. First time seeing Maple Hill, and yeah, it was definitely, that turning point in my career where, everything just went fully disc golf, and it's been that since.
When you got to Maple Hill, you were starting to become a legitimate pro athlete in the sport of disc golf, which really, at the time, wasn't a real thing. It was starting to be. When you saw all the festivities at Maple Hill and all the homegrown community, were you drawn to that initially, or were you more drawn to just winning the tournament?
I would say I was more for winning the tournament, but that was like the first time I really saw it firsthand. I was staying on the property, so it was kind of hard to avoid it, but it was a lot of fun. I didn't sign up for a lot of the games, but I actually got tagged into some of the games because Germ had other things going on, so I kind of took his spot. So it was the first time I really had a chance to enjoy them, and it was a cool experience. But I think after that, it was kind of, I felt like my job was disc golf, and I kind of just focused on that. It was fun to do all that stuff, but I don't know. I enjoy the competition of the tournaments more than the games.
Well, you've played extremely well at this course. You've shot some unbelievable rounds, and some rounds that people say, ratings aside, are some of the best rounds that have ever been shot. What rounds to you stand out in your memory?
Definitely the 45 out here. That was kind of an interesting one because I got the lead early in the final round, and I had, I think, like a 6 or 8 stroke lead after 6 holes, and I just told myself, let's see how many you can win this by, or more so, let's see how low you can shoot this round and just go for everything because I had a cushion. So that's definitely the most memorable one. But I mean, the fresh one is James making that putt last year. That was I was sitting there watching, and you see, I was lined up perfectly to see him putting through that drop zone. So that one, I still remember that one pretty fresh. But yeah, the 45 and James making that putt on 18.
The course has changed a lot. I was asking Steve about how the course can continue to scale. He didn't tell me an answer. He just said, ask me in 20 years. From your perspective, how well has this course scaled with the talent of the division, and how does it look right now?
It's definitely grown from the first time. I remember hole 1 used to be right at the mouth pretty much, and now he keeps finding a way to push it and move it around the corner, and now there's a triple mandatory and all sorts of stuff. So he keeps finding things to tweak on this course. And this is actually one of the few that I feel like hasn't changed a whole lot since the beginning. Some of the holes are the original holes from when I played in 2011. And he is finding ways to make it feel different every time you come. There's always something. I remember the wall on 9 was a big deal when he put that in on the short position. So he's finding ways to keep this course relevant, which is really cool.
In our sport right now, we have those tournament directors, but also venue developers that we sometimes call mad scientists, so to speak, like a UC Maresma, Steve Dodge, people that are putting on these events to grand proportions. How important are these people to the growth of disc golf?
Very important. This is the tour is still very event driven. Each event you go to is different. It's got a different feel because of those people you mentioned. Steve has always been. He's always been Steve. He's always done it his own way, and I think that's what makes the MVP Open and Maple Hill so unique. And it's one that people always look forward to because of that. And he always has some kind of surprise, like we're here at a baseball stadium right now. You know, he's finding the connections to make these things very memorable and fun for everyone. So, they're very important, we're seeing it firsthand this week.
Well, I want to zoom in on one specific hole, hole 17, big change. Super tight gap. People are saying 7-8 feet wide, 100 feet off the tee. What do you think about the gap as it stands now? And how far away can a 7-foot gap go before it becomes fluky?
I think the gap is fair. I think it's the landing area that's not as clear as to where we're supposed to go. I don't think that the gap at all is unfair. I think I'm curious to see how people attack that hole, more so where they're putting their disc versus the lines that they're hitting.
Are you throwing aggressive? Are you trying to go as far as you can?
I have no clue.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time. Here's Matt
Thank you.
Graham.
Hey, Paul, congrats on your success this season. So the skill level on tour has seemingly risen along with the technology of disc, player experience. Are you a better disc golfer than you used to be? I know you talked about injuries, now you're healed up. Do you feel like you today could compete with the version of you during your best?
Week in and week out, probably not right now, but I feel like I'm getting back to that. But I guess it also depends on how much truth you put in the ratings, you know, because there's only one person that's really gone above and kind of has matched where I was, you know, at my highest rating. So as far as the field, they're all pretty much in that 50-40 area that it's been for a decade now.
Cool. Thanks for your time, Paul.
We'll be right back.
Cool. Thank you.
Welcoming in Paige Pierce here. Paige, you won last week at GMC. You make the 3-hour drive, and now you're sitting in a baseball stadium talking more disc golf. How are you feeling?
Great. Yeah, it was like 4.5 in the RV, but yeah, it feels great. Love being here. It's one of my favorite places in the world, so excited.
Well, talking about the travel, this is one of the more tame drives from stop to stop throughout the year. This is a fan question that came in. What do you notice about the women's disc golf communities in the areas that you tour? Are you noticing an increase in women's participation, like playing and spectating?
Absolutely, yeah. And like even last night we went to mile marker 63 for Go Throw Skins, and Ella and Holland were doing a women's clinic there, and there was like 40 or 50 people at the women's clinic, and then we also had probably 40 or so women watching the skins. So yeah, I mean, any community like with more than 20 courses has so many women, and I think you're getting more and more families and therefore ladies involved. And just like I noticed like my jersey sales, like I'm completely out of women's jerseys, and it's so, you know, women are getting into disc golf at a higher level, you know, and or just like more consistently playing, I think, and like taking it upon themselves to play and not just like going out with the guys in their lives.
Paige, you've been coming here since at least 2010 is what Statmando says. Talk to me about the first time that you came to Maple Hill, the stories you heard leading up to it, and what was your first experience like?
Yeah, I think it was, I had heard about it for a while. Val was talking about it all the time, and Vibram and the pond jump, and it's the ice cream social's always been a thing, the pie eating contest, you know, all the mini games that Steve puts on to keep everyone entertained from sun up to sundown and even after sundown. So yeah, it's just special being on site. Everyone loved Estonia and everyone likes Smugs, and I think those are places that get a lot of recognition for great tour stops, because you're driving down the street in Estonia on a scooter and you see someone you know, or same thing at Smugs, you see that car parked at that brewery, and here at Maple Hill, like everything's on site, so you're not only competing alongside your peers and you're watching your favorite players play, but you're also able to play ping pong with them or foosball, or, you know, challenge them to a pie eating contest. So everyone's just always together all day, and I think that sets up for what we love of disc golf, which is the community.
Paige, you're a player that a lot of your peers and friends will say you are one of the most high energy people they know on the course and off the course. Has your participation in any of the extracurriculars at Maple Hill ever died down year after year because of how serious the tour has gotten?
No, definitely not. This is one where I know I can sleep Monday, you know, and actually with the off week next week, I'll probably just stay Monday, Tuesday here and just like get some a little bit more quiet Maple Hill. But yeah, I think last night and the night before I didn't go out and play glow golf, which I usually play every single night. So tonight will be the night, right? Hopefully, yeah. We're going to go play some glow tonight, and just go sit on top of 11 and 13 and take in the stars and watch some laser beams go down.
I asked Paul a similar question, but you've played so many tournaments here. What shots stand out to you in your mind? What rounds stick out in your memory? Wins here? What stories do you have to tell us from previous tournaments?
I think recency bias, but also just, like hole-in-ones are just awesome, right? So last year I aced hole 15, and just walking up to it this year, I'm like, man, I'm hoping I missed the first tree. How did I do that? But just getting to 15 and remembering my ace, and that was really fun. And I think also just like putting on hole 14 with the 8 holes across the pond, and you can hear them and see them in the background, and you got that death putt at the water on 14, and it's just beautiful chaos and organized chaos that I just love. I think that this is Maple Hill's environment is where disc golf should head, in my personal opinion.
Talk about that beautiful chaos a little bit more. The crowd here, I think, is world class. The people show up to have a good time and watch some good disc golf. As a competitor, when things get tense, sometimes you're going to hear people cheering in your backswing, your putt. Do you have to mentally kind of prepare yourself before a round to play out there?
No, I think it's all a mindset. You can be in a bad mood and you can feel underprepared or not confident, and you can use that as an excuse, like, oh, somebody moved or somebody yelled. But just expect it. It's going to happen. So just take it like the Nantucket Raz round, or practicing with my dogs, or on the Go Throw Skins, everybody's cheering, yelling, and at the bottom line is people are excited to watch disc fly, and if you want to take that as a distraction or any kind of negative, you're in the wrong headspace.
Paige, I'm going to ask you a similar question I asked to your very good friend Missy Ganon, who you battled with last week at GMC. I asked her if she resonates more with being a golfer or with being a Frisbee player in how she approaches disc golf. I know you're a self-proclaimed Frisbee head. What do you and Missy have in common rather than what you have differently in regards to how you play disc golf?
Oh, we just want to beat each other, you know? We just want to push each other as hard as we can. And we both want to win. You know, I definitely like the free spirit, barefoot, let the rain fall on me, and just chucking discs, watching good shots fly. And Missy's very methodical, and I could take some of that from her for sure. And she's very golf-minded. She's thinking of what score she's going to take on the hole. I'm just trying to throw pretty shots and maybe sometimes do Simon lines, which gets me in trouble. So, I think there's a good balance there that we could both learn from each other, and I think that we do.
It's a beautiful game. Thank you, Paige. Here's Matt Graham.
Hey, Paige, Matt Stagger Stance. Coming into hole 18 at GMC, I will focus on MVP Open. You threw your shot. Did you know it hit the walkway?
I did not until a couple hours later.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was exciting for the fans. So when you were completing and you tapped out or to take the victory, you had mentioned this was such a thrilling situation, if you will, playoff, and you said, I hope this lasts and the MPO just has a runaway of some sort so we can get this attention. Do you feel like an FPO that is it getting overshadowed by something, or do you feel like there's another opportunity for that?
I wouldn't say overshadowed. I would say some disrespect. I think a lot of the live commentators, especially, maybe it's the production crew in the booth. I don't know who it is, but when you see Evelina missing putts and you see highlight reels of Holland hitting trees, that is not what people want to see. That is not what we're here for, and I think it's absolutely disrespectful, and that was my point. Just that let's show our good shots. There are countless players out there throwing incredible shots, not just on the top 2 cards that have live cameras. We are throwing incredible shots, and let's focus on those. And it's not so much FPO versus MPO, but when I finish my round and I tune into the Disc Golf Network and I watch MPO, they're not showing bad shots on replay. So,
That being said, and appreciate that answer there, it was exciting. And being a part of media, we have lots of messages and threads going on, and the comments we're seeing are, this is incredibly exciting. That was fire to watch. So you are putting on a great show, and we do appreciate that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Joining us now, maybe the most local tour card holder to this course, maybe besides Simon Lizotte, who moved here. Paul Krans, you're joining us now in Polar Park after a career weekend out there at GMC. You had to make the drive down here. What were your reflections, your thoughts after the weekend?
Well, it's kind of been a hectic week mentally. So right after the final round, I was able to have 4 hours alone driving back home. And it was kind of nice to just have some peace and quiet, driving through the mountains and seeing all the beautiful scenery and just really like reflect on it. And honestly, I'm more confident than I've ever been. So I'm using it as good positivity going into the rest of the season, even though it's a short season now. But overall, just like happy that I had some alone time after the event. And then the week was just this week has been very hectic. So
talk about that. It's the MVP Open, obviously. It's at a course that's about 30 minutes away from where you grew up. Just talk about your demands this week from everybody around you after last week.
Well, MVP had me do the practice round with Eagle McMahon and Raven Newsom on Monday. So normally I take Mondays off. I try to never play on a Monday, even if I'm only an hour from the location that we're playing next. So had to play Monday, and then I was going to take Tuesday off, but then Jeremy Colling called me to invite me onto the Jomez practice round. So then I had to do that on Tuesday, early morning. Yesterday was a long day for me, but yeah, get the practice rounds done, and then yesterday I got the box receiving of my new Team Series disc, so I had to do a bunch of promotion for that, and then just kind of a long day with friends afterwards, and then today, just here selling discs and meeting fans.
And the fans are going to keep coming if you keep playing the way you did last week. And Paul, back here, back home, talk about your Maple Hill origin story. What was the first time you came to Maple Hill like?
I think the first time I came to Maple Hill was like around 6 months into playing, maybe a bit sooner. I can't quite remember, but I went up to the Golds tee, and first time ever throwing the hole, I cleared the pond. And that was I have it on video and everything, but the first time I ever threw hole 1 Golds, I was able to clear the pond, and I was only 6 months into playing. So yeah, from there on, I kind of just fell in love with Maple Hill vibes, but just in general, all of New England. Buffinville Dam is my home course, and it's my favorite course around. So just the courses that I have around here they help shape my game, and yeah, Maple Hill was a big factor in that too.
Paul, a lot of comments getting to watch you last week from people saying how efficient and effortless your backhand throw looks. Not to say your forehand's not good, but they were all keying in on the backhand. What was your form progression like when you first started playing disc golf? Was it hardcore training? Was it filming yourself? Or was it a more natural progression?
I never went to a field ever to do form work or disc flight work. 3.5 years into playing disc golf was when I went to my first ever field. But I spent every single day throwing into a net. I actually talk about throwing into a net, and it helps you dial in on the key specifics instead of worrying about where the disc is being released and where it's the flight of it, height, everything. It kind of allows you to forget about that if you're just focused on your form and throwing into a net. So that was basically every single day starting, recording thousands of videos, just making tiny tweaks. The funny part is, for form, I never made a change because of mechanics. I made a change because I didn't like the look of it. So I would look at Simon, Eagle, Silas Schultz as well. I would look at those 3 guys and be like, wow, their form looks super clean, and I would really just try to replicate a clean looking form. And in the end, it allows for good mechanics if you're doing the right things, making it look like it's a smooth form. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of just worked on form every day. I have a nice backyard for throwing tight gap shots too. So yeah, just really dialed in over time. I never did any form work on forehands. It was kind of just a natural thing for me. But yeah, backhand was every day.
Well, quick side tangent. Tech disc is over there. Speaking of throwing into a net, have you ever worked with a tech disc? And just out of my own curiosity as a commentator, what are your speed and spin numbers?
Okay, so I think the first time I threw into a tech disc was 2 years ago at the Northeast Disc Golf Expo. And my fastest speed was 70 miles an hour. And my spin rate was 1,700 RPMs. But my current speed would probably be like 72 max. And that's like if I'm feeling healthy, had an energy drink. So like at GMC, I was probably throwing around 72 max for arm speed. And then spin rate has gone down a bit. I don't really know why. Probably around 1,500 to 1,600. But yeah, overall, I mean, my stats are not that impressive. I do throw, every throw is 2.5 degrees nose down. So I'm pretty consistent on the nose down. And then my launch angle is like, I think it's 13 degrees.
Okay.
Which I would say is like the perfect angle for wooded shape shots. Like you're getting some upward movement, but it's not going to test the ceiling and it's not going to turf it.
A scientist. Paul, thank you so much. Here's Matt Graham.
Hey, Paul. Matt from
Hello.
Stagger Stance. So, what have you learned on tour that you don't feel like you could have learned while staying in New England?
Tour shots are not necessary for tour. So you see all these big name players, like I name AB, Simon, they all throw like what you would think a tour shot is, like a big sweeping hyzer, overstable disc always crashing in on the ground, keeping it super simple. But in reality, it's whatever your game is. Like, I went on to tour the first year practicing tour shots, and then my game was like kind of in shambles. And then at Des Moines, I came to realize that throwing your own shots that you're confident in, straight mid-ranges, whatever it may be, takes precedent over a tour shot. So ever since Des Moines last year, my mindset has completely changed. Like, at GMC, I powered down on a distance driver on nearly every shot that I could. Whereas, like, hole 12, for example, everybody was throwing overstable fairway drivers hard, and I was throwing maybe like a 65% mayhem distance driver to get to the landing zone instead of, taking that power overstable shot.
Anything in New England that you learned pre-tour that you couldn't have learned anywhere else?
New England golf is special. Lots of elevation. Your discs get chipped up a lot easier, and it takes a lot of skill. A New England player will have more shot shapes in their game, in my opinion. But then once you go onto the tour, it kind of like that mindset. It's people think that they have to throw tour shots instead. So it's kind of like growing up in New England was a bit of a vibe change once you got on the road.
All right, last one. We're not quite to the off season, but there's something that New England has that's pretty special. What are you going to do in your off season?
I'm not going to throw a disc until New England Team Challenge happens. So I won't practice. And weirdly enough, I think practicing in the cold is a huge setback to when you get on the road. So I won't practice. I'm going to work out every day, eat food, hopefully gain weight so Germ can't clown on me for that. So yeah, hopefully get stronger. And then yeah, New England Team Challenge whenever that happens.
Cool. Thanks for your time, Paul.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Jake Monn joins us now at Polar Park. Jake, playoffs are about to wrap up here at Maple Hill, and then we get into the Tour Championship out there in
28th. So like being in 28th is great. You know, I'm in that last spot, but I could have been way higher in the standings. But
I first saw you years ago at North Boundary, that wild up and down elevation course in Pennsylvania. Instantly, I was impressed. You've been on tour pretty much ever since. Talk about what you've learned over the past few years coming out here, giving your life to this game.
Kind of just like what Paul was saying, like finding your own game, because everybody plays the game differently. And if you try to like, oh, somebody's throwing this line, I have to do that, then you're going to find yourself way farther down the leaderboard. But if you just play your own game, then it can work out. Play to your strengths. Like I remember, this isn't a tour event, but at CCR&H here in between two events, there was people were throwing like fairway drivers far, and I was just playing golf like putter, and we got the same score. So you don't have to follow along with what everybody does. You just got to do your own thing.
Well, speaking of playing your own game, it seems like when you go on tour, your game changes year to year because you're learning so much, taking in so much information. What is, if you were to paint the picture, your game right now?
So I feel like for me it changes like week to week. Some weeks I'll be relying on like my fairway drivers will be my go-tos. Some weeks mids feel off, some weeks they feel on. Same with distance drivers. Mine is a lot of backhands. My forehand's always been my weakest part of my game. And then my putting, if it's on, saves me a lot. If it's off, I shoot horribly. But yeah, a lot of backhands, and putting is my strengths. Forehands, not so much.
Talk about the group that you travel with. You have some good, motivated young players traveling with you week to week. What is that support system like, having good dudes to practice with?
Yeah, so this year it's been awesome because I've been traveling with Ryan, my younger brother, and he's like the best person to live with. Other than the mornings, he wakes up a little cranky sometimes. But yeah, we get out there, we get after it, and then like travel around, hanging out with Joey Buckets a lot this year. We have kind of like a similar putt, so if we're off, we can help each other out. And then we've been traveling also with Jared Stoll, who's got a really solid sidearm, along with Joey. And
as he comes out here to give his life to this game.
So he's really confident, and that's a big thing out here. Like he'll go out and he's not scared of anything. He's just himself, confident. It's awesome to see that. And then if he sees a flaw in his game for a course, he'll be like, okay, I need to fix this. Here's how I adapt to it. And then he goes after and works after it. Like last year, his backhand form was like, you know, he was accurate, but it wasn't really set up for distance shots, like where I was throwing a fairway driver to place it and control it a little better. He was having to throw like nukes and stuff, so now he's able to throw some of those more controlled fairway shots, and it's been good for him.
Well, let's zoom in this week. We're at Maple Hill, iconic course. We're sitting here in a baseball stadium doing this press conference. What do you feel coming back to this course year after year, and what are your thoughts on how you play out there on the course?
So Maple Hill's probably been my worst tournament every single year. I've never cashed here. The closest I got was one stroke out of last cash last year. The lines are just super tight. I feel like every year it's towards the end of the year, so I'm tired, I'm ready to go home. I remember one year I was complaining a lot on hole one, just like, oh, I'm not playing well, I'm ready to go home, and Raven Newsom was there and he wasn't playing a tournament, and he was just like, I would love to switch places with you, you know. So coming back here, it's like I am ready to be home. It's been a long year, so I just got to lock in for one more week, play one more good tournament, make it into the Pro Tour Championships, and to play well out here, you got to get off the tee clean, and you can't be sloppy on the green.
What would it mean to you to make the Tour Championship in Virginia?
It would be big. My two big goals for this year is to become 1030 rated, which I've now done twice, was I went up to 1030, dropped back, and then went back up. And then to make the Pro Tour Championships. And my goal was to start off hot at the beginning of the year, and I got 6th at Supreme Flight, and then a couple other decent finishes in Texas, not the best. And then we're going into the majors in Europe, and I know those two were big because I got 27th at Champs Cup, and I know majors can have a huge impact on points. And then I was in 25th going into the final round of the festival, and then I broke my wrist that Saturday night. So then I fell out of the cash on Sunday when I had to shoot like a 7 under to move up into the top 20, get a lot of points. And then I had to play 2 weeks afterwards at Worlds, which I ended up cashing with a broken right wrist. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, to come back from that, and still make the Pro Tour Championships would be huge.
Jake, thank you so much for your time, my friend. We'll see you out there this week. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Lisa Fajkus joins me now after what you said was your best performance at a Pro Tour event at the GMC. It was a pleasure to watch you play out there. Lisa, just reflect. How was the week for you, and what were you most proud of?
Yeah, it was a really good week last week. One of my best performances this year, and I struggle sometimes at GMC, so it's like an extra pat on the back to get in the top 5 last weekend. A lot of mental switches for me, I think, was the main thing, mental cues, and that kept me in it pretty good. The physical stuff kind of stays the same throughout the year. I did a lot of putting practice leading into GMC and a D-Glow, but that kind of just, takes time to show. So
You're a veteran of this sport. You've been playing the game a long time, traveling for a long time. When you talk about mental cues, what are you finding now after all these years?
yeah, it's like trial and error, going back. After not cashing at D-Glow, I had to go back to the drawing board and kind of say, like, what's not working, what's working, and I just kind of realized it's me versus me out there, and just have to kind of poke around, and it's kind of like reverse psychology for me that works the best.
Well, let's zoom into Maple Hill. You've played this tournament many, many years. Talk about the first time you came here. What memories do you have? Maybe rounds that you shot early on that stick out to you as well.
Yeah, just hole 1, the beautiful pond right there, the flowers. It's just like, it's always engraved in your mind, the first thing you see. And just like the atmosphere, the rock walls, just so much beauty here. I remember my first time coming to Maple Hill. It was so long ago, but just the course hasn't changed that much, at least on the front. Like the first 6-7 holes, and then the back are pretty similar. But just I've always had hard nostalgia for this course, and it always comes through because it's so fun.
When you think of nostalgia at this course, what does that make you feel? What does Maple Hill bring out in you?
Yeah, just the old MSDGC, 2005, watching those days, and just that old school vibes. It just kind of reminds me of how many people have come before us, and it's just good vibes out there. I love it.
Talk about the season as a whole. How has disc golf felt for you in the 2025 year?
It's a grind. Yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. I haven't really reached my potential week in and week out, but GMC was a good potential reach for me, but yeah, it's a grind out there. It's like I said before, a lot of trial and error sometimes, and I find for me it's mental things as well as physical. So it's just scratching those itches and putting yourself out there a lot of practice, a lot of field work, and seeing what works.
Well, you showed me last week at GMC, you have a disc from Barry Schultz, an old beat-up rock that you've been throwing. Can you kind of tell the story about the disc and how that ended up in your bag?
Yeah, I got that disc through my boyfriend, Don. He's really good friends with Barry. So we went to Barry's house years ago in Wisconsin, just kind of visiting and hanging out. And Barry's really cool with like trading, and if you're gonna throw it, he's interested in giving it to you. And that's where we found that really flippy beat-in rock. It's a gem, and it's so fun to throw. Barry beat it up for years, and it's a really cool memento to have in the bag.
Maple Hills course right now. You said it hasn't changed much. How does your current game that you brought to GMC last week fare out there at that course?
For me, it's like a lot of shots. I feel like I'm throwing as hard as I can to get to my landing zones. So that's coming into play over and over. I'm throwing like my flippy stuff that I was throwing last week, and trying to get my nice apex out of the disc, get the full flight, and just trying to stay crispy on the lines, and as well as the putts, hitting your landing zones, getting those early birdies are kind of some of the things that stick in my mind at Maple Hill.
When you first started touring all these years ago, what were you dreaming of when you first hit the road to really commit to disc golf? And now, coming into 2025, what do you dream about these days?
I think the big dream is just like being the best disc golfer you can be and seeing where that takes you. For me, I always just dreamed of being my best player, and if that means, playing for a world championship or just playing for a championship at an elite event as well. But just being in the mix and truly being a force is something that I look forward to doing. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you a similar question that a fan asked Paige. When you've been traveling, have you noticed the women's communities in all these different states evolving and changing, and what have you witnessed?
The women's community in general has just seen a big uptick. I mean, COVID was obviously a big reason for that, but even before that, just being like visible for the women is big out here. They can see other women and know that it's cool to join, and it's really welcoming and inviting for all women. So we're seeing like here in New England, there's a big scene. There's always been a big scene in Texas and Michigan, and they're popping up more and more. So it's just really cool to see. Those are some of the like staples that I've remembered. But more women. It's so welcoming to see, and it's awesome.
Well, Lisa, going into the final event of the year, you're in that last spot. You're safe right now. How do you feel about the format where even if you're outside of the top 18, you can still play for a wild card spot? And how does that feel this week?
Yeah, I feel ready for this weekend. I know there's a lot of good competitors sort of chomping at the bit for those two spots. So it's like it's not quite over yet in that sense, and there can be a lot of toggling in the top or the scores in that way. So it's exciting. It just brings a lot more excitement, and that can translate to nerves pretty easily. So it goes back to that mental thing and really trying to stay calm and finding that inside. So yeah.
Well, Lisa, enjoy yourself. We're sitting here in a minor league baseball stadium doing a press conference for disc golf. Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Good luck this week.
Thank you, Brian.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
Welcome back, and last but not least, Brian Cole with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Brian, we're going to jump right into it. The qualification for the Tour Championship has changed, and I would love for you to just, first off, explain in full what's happening and how to get to the Tour Championship for the people, but then also anything else you feel like you need to address about that.
Sure. Yeah, so we're excited about the new qualification format that you all saw at GMC this last weekend. So last weekend, the top 8 MPO and the top 4 FPO finishers outside of the world point standings qualified for this week's tournament. And we felt like that was actually really successful. It gave people an opportunity to, come in late in the season and get an opportunity to play Maple Hill, which is a really difficult event to qualify for. This week at MVP, qualifying for Tour Championship, the top 4 MPO and the top 2 FPO outside of the top 28 and 18 in Tour standings will qualify for the Tour Championship. And the couple small wrinkles, nuances that I wanted to point out was it's the top 19 for FPO because, as we know, Kristen announced that she's not going to be there. So it's technically the top 19 for FPO, which, as you mentioned with Lisa, she's right there in that 19th spot. And then the other wrinkle is we've got some players on the MPO side, Ben and Maori, who have won some tour events this year. And that means they are automatically qualified. But there's a specific way that we invite those players. And a couple of those players are right there on that point standings cut line, and if they qualify via points, we'll use that over their tour win first. So their tour win will be the last way that they're invited. So it's just kind of it's an interesting storyline to watch around that 28th to 32nd spot for MPO especially, which, as Jake was mentioning, this is a super competitive event here. So you're going to see some really good competitive players playing around that line, trying to earn their way into the Tour Championship in a few weeks.
Brian, you've been involved with disc golf on so many levels, not just on the operations side, the business side. You've played. You've toured for disc golf. Talk about it. Talk about Maple Hill and the first time you came here and played here as an athlete.
Sure. Yeah, it's been, I think, 11 years since the first time I came to Maple Hill in 2015. So it's really cool to see how far along this event has come in just those 11 years. And obviously we've seen Steve create the Pro Tour, hand that over to Jeff Spring, and continue growing his event. So it's really awesome to see the progression in the course. There's a lot of new stuff. I should also mention, there's several alternate pins, one alternate tee pad that's in use this weekend. So that's changed a lot over the last decade or so. And then I would also note, as once again Jake mentioned, it's been difficult for him to cash here, and he's a 1030 rated player. And 11 years ago, I tell you what, I was not nearly as good as Jake Monn. And cashing was a little bit easier. So it's really cool to see just how competitive it's become just to make cash here at Maple Hill. So
I'm going to give you a chance to shout out your guys out there on the ground that work tirelessly to help put these events on. Just sing the praises. What do you have to say about the guys that are out there on the road week in and week out, sun up to sundown, putting on these events?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Our operations crew has been on the road full time since SFO, since the Supreme Flight Open in February. So it's been, about 8 months that they've been on the road grinding. And I know that it's really, the upside for them is that we have a really great community of touring players and staff. And I see that we have a bunch of folks that, create lasting friendships and relationships out there. And that's really awesome to see. But these guys are working just around the clock to pull these events off. We had a 4-day event at GMC, and we were down here on Monday. Those guys that were working GMC on Sunday were setting up here at MVP on Monday night. So they just are grinding out there on the road all of the time. I want to give a special shout out to Greg Diaz, who's been with the tour for several years right now. This is Greg's entering a new chapter in his life. He's going to have a baby. This is his last event with us for now, and we're just so proud of everything that Greg has done. He's been the glue, really, that's held our team together on the road when we're out there working 12, 14-hour days for weeks at a time. So,
well, let's zoom in to the Maple Hill course itself, and I want to ask you a question about tee pads. So this is the only course on tour that has these types of tee pads, and from what I've heard from players and my own experience playing in these tee pads in the past, they get very slick when they are wet. And I'm not going to ask you to comment on these specific tee pads, but in general, have there been discussions about tee pad regulation, playing on one specific surface in the future?
Yeah, we've discussed that, and I think also Brewster has some paver tee pads too as well. But one thing that I know that Steve has done here as a result of, in the past, we've noticed some of the slick conditions. There's a couple things that he's done notably. Of course, you can mitigate the surrounding area so that from mud, so that you're not tracking mud up onto the tee pad, which I think is usually the cause. And I don't think that pavers are necessarily any better than concrete or turf for those. For like, if it's just really muddy around the tee pad, you're just going to get a muddy tee surface. I know that Steve has also started to change the tees throughout the course with a new, better draining paver surface material. And so it's been a few years since he started updating those, and we've seen a lot better results. And I think one of the bigger things that is impactful for a player's grip is the uniformity of the teeing surface throughout the course. So what you don't want is blacktop on one hole, concrete on another, pavers on another, and turf out there. When we have one uniform tee surface, which they have pavers out there on every single tee now, you can choose your footwear to be best suited for that particular tee surface. So.
Brian, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you out there this week.
Thanks, Brian.
And with that, we are wrapping things up here at the press conference. Round 1 of the MVP Open at Maple Hill begins tomorrow. Good night, folks.